9 o'clock, time to conduct the business of Wayne County Board of Commissioners and for the County of Wayne. I would like to encourage everyone to silence your phones out of courtesy of everyone else in present, and thank you for doing that. Our invocation today, Commissioner Chris Gurley. I think he has a guest today.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I asked Pastor John Howard to come forward. He's a good friend of mine, fellow firefighter at Belfast. Great asset to our department and our community. He's the congregational care pastor at the First Church, First PH, depending on how old you are, what you call it. But John, if you would come forth, I appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody. It's an honor to be here this morning. Chris said I could preach if I wanted to. You got all day. You got a pulpit and a mic. No, I'm kidding. I will say that Christmas time is probably my favorite time of the year, and I think folks can echo that in the room. Some of you have different opinions in that because you have to buy stuff and hang stuff up and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, which makes it sometimes diminished in its favoritism. But nonetheless, Christmas always brings about this feeling of anticipation. I'm 52 years old, and I still don't sleep on Christmas Eve. We don't have any children in our house, but you ask my wife, I don't sleep on Christmas Eve. That's just the way it is. You know what you're getting almost on Christmas Day, but still the anticipation is there. And so you can probably think about your mind as a kid or even as an adult. You know, it seems at Christmas time you get that special thing during the year that you don't get on a normal Tuesday or Wednesday during the year. You know, it's something that's kind of saved up for you and you kind of get it. But the interesting thing about a gift that you receive at Christmas is at some point along the lifetime of that gift, it's going to start losing interest. You know, you're going to start, you might put it on a shelf. Or it may be a relationship that you wait to come to your house. And I heard one old fella say one time he saw some pretty Christmas lights. And I said, what was that? He said, the lights of my children and grandchildren going down my driveway when they left, you know. So even though the anticipation is there for those things and even those people, they don't last forever, you know. You can probably think back as a kid, you got a toy for Christmas, something that you really, really wanted. And then maybe by the time Christmas night came along, the batteries had died, and you'd put it on the shelf and you didn't see it again for another several months, whatever the case is. But the gift that we got at Christmas that doesn't rust, it doesn't decay, was the baby Jesus, was the Savior that came for us. And so it's still relevant today. It's still here. And so may your anticipation be, yes, the joy that comes with giving, the joy that comes with receiving, but the joy that comes with eternity as well, with this baby that came in a manger for us to be our Savior, to be the one that gives us a reason to get up every day. So let's pray as we start our day with that. Father, we thank you for this moment. We thank you for Christmas time. And I pray, God, that as we look past the lights and the sounds and the wrapping paper and bows and beautiful trees and all that is Christmas that we see on an earthly surface, that we look back and see that moment that you came to us as a humble child in a manger. There was no room for anybody in a motel, no room in an inn, but Mary and Joseph had to deliver you in a manger from those humble beginnings. And so, Father, we just pray that we would have that anticipation, the same anticipation that the wise men had, the same anticipation that the shepherds had when they saw the angel appear and they told them to not be afraid as they make their approach to that manger to see that child. So, Father, we just pray that during this season we would have that locked in our hearts and our minds too. Father, we thank you for the men and women that are gathered here this morning to do the business of our county. And I pray, God, that you give them clarity of mind this morning, that you give them exactly what they need to be effective for the citizens of Wayne County. So, Father, you've put them in charge of us, and I pray, God, that they would do the best job they can. And Father, we just thank you for that today. Now, bless us as a county, as a nation, and I pray, God, that we always put you first. And we thank you for your gift, and we anticipate your coming again. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
Pledge of allegiance, Commissioner Foster.
Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Okay, at this time, first meeting in December, we always elect a chairman of the board and a vice chair. And I'm going to ask County Attorney, Mr. Borden Parker, if you will take control of the meeting and handle the election of the chair and the vice chair.
Yes, sir. I'll entertain nominations for chairman.
Mr. Parker, I'll nominate Joe Daugherty for chairman.
Are there any other nominations?
I nominate Freeman Hardison for chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Williams, but I'm going to refuse. I appreciate that.
Any other nominations? Nominations are closed. All in favor of Commissioner Daugherty, please signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Commissioner Daugherty, you are elected 5-2 vote. And I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you.
Congratulations.
But first, I'm going to turn over the gavel to Commissioner Daugherty, and I have received my Christmas present.
Well, I want to thank my commissioners for honoring me with the chair. Hopefully, over the next year, we can work together to bring unity on our board. That is one of my main goals, and that is to work hard to bring about unity on our board. With that in mind, I open up the floor for nominations for vice chair.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to nominate Mr. Wayne Aycock as vice chair.
Okay, we've got a nomination of Commissioner Aycock, Wayne Aycock, for vice chair. Are there any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Commissioner Williams.
Okay, we have a nomination on Commissioner Williams. Any other nominations? Being none, the nominations are closed. Our first vote is going to be on Commissioner Williams. All those in favor of Commissioner Williams signify by raising your right hand. Okay. All those in favor of Commissioner Wayne Aycock for vice chair, raise your right hand. And Commissioner Williams is, Commissioner Wayne Aycock has one vice chair and vice chair with a 5-2 vote. Thank you. We're moving on the agenda with the approval of our minutes for November the 16th. Do I have a motion of approval?
So move.
Motion to approve the minutes of November the 16th, 2021. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed? Madam Clerk, did you get that vote?
Yes, sir. It was 6-1.
Okay. Any discussion and adjustment of agenda?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, and congratulations. We would like to add under unfinished business, which would be after the consent agenda, CAD contract clarification as number 1. And also under new business, kind of a 2A discussion of the Dudley, proposed Dudley Library. That's all the changes we have at this time.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda with the amendments?
Mr. Chairman, I have one thing. We have some guests here from Fremont, and I noticed a public comment is the last thing, and I would like them to be able to express their concerns about the library since they're here, and before we vote, if that's possible.
Well, certainly. With that in mind, I assume that I would entertain a motion to move public comment to a different time slot.
Yes, sir.
Is that permissible?
Yes.
So would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I would.
And where would you like to move?
Maybe after the consent agenda, right before the new business.
Right before unfinished business?
Yes, so they'll have an opportunity to speak before we have a vote.
All right, I have a motion that we adjust the agenda by moving public comment to right after consent agenda. Is there any discussion on that motion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I'd like to confer with our attorneys and see, instead of us just changing the public comment period, while we're discussing item 2, then the individuals who have a concern about Fremont, after we discuss it with our director and amongst ourselves, then allow them to speak. I think that would be more suitable opposed to changing our public comment period. Andrew, you have any comments on that, or Mr. Borden?
I think you can do it either way the board wants.
Okay, so you're recommending that what we do is actually move public comment right after the discussions on the library?
Well, not move public comment, but allow the public that only have something to state pertaining to the library able to talk within that time frame.
Yeah, we need to leave that under public comment, though. So we would actually have to move the entire public comment.
Well,
Are you asking for
I'm
some
asking,
type of?
I'm asking Andrew and Mr. Borden what they say would be proper pertaining to that.
I think you could just move the public comments.
I need to move the entire public comment. Is that correct? Okay. So we have a motion on the floor to move public comment, period, to actually right after the consent agenda, just prior to unfinished business. Any more discussion on the matter? Okay. All those in favor of the adjustment of the agenda to move the public comment period to right after consent agenda, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed? Okay. So we are moving by majority vote. We are moving the public comment period to right after consent agenda. Okay. Any other discussion on the adjustments of the agenda? And we had a motion to approve the agenda as modified. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed? Okay, so that is approved. At this point, we are going into our special presentations. And I have a statement I want to read in regards to special presentations. The purpose of special presentations is for the board to receive information from citizens and officials so that commissioners are well informed on ongoing community issues. Please keep your presentations to no more than 10 minutes in length. Commissioners may ask questions or make comments following the presentations if they so desire. Presenters should be respectful and refrain from disparaging comments about staff or other members of the public. Section 8 of the County Rules of Procedures permit the chairman to act when a speaker goes beyond reasonable standards of courtesy in their remarks. Under North Carolina General Statute 143-318.17, the chairman reserves the right to remove any presenter who willfully interrupts, disrupts, or disturbs this meeting. With that in mind, we have a special presentation. First on our list will be Thomas Rice. Mr. Rice.
Chairman, before we begin, I asked earlier about the 10-minute rule, and I need clarification on that, of where that is in our ruling, so we'll make sure that we're following the rules.
I'm sorry.
You stated it.
We're moving forward. You're out of order. We're moving forward. Thank you.
So you're not,
Make
so
your
you're,
presentation.
so you're not gonna acknowledge the fact that I'm talking about these 10 minutes that we haven't had in any other special presentation before?
We are moving forward. I have established, as the chairman, a 10-minute rule.
You
and I
can't establish
appreciate
it as
the
a
fact-
10-minute rule. It has to be a board decision. That's not you don't have the authority to do that.
Well-
It's never been in our special presentations before, but it's in this one. So therefore, I asked for that ruling earlier. There is not a rule behind it. So therefore, you stated it and you're stating it improperly. Follow the rules. If you're gonna be chair, follow the rules.
I have established a 10-minute deadline. You
This is
have
why
been
we don't
notified,
do
I
that.
believe you were notified that it'd be a 6 to
You are
10-minute
terrible.
presentation. Is that correct?
Follow the rules.
That is correct. Okay, thank you very much.
But it's nowhere in our rules. Our attorney is sitting right here. If he or our assistant attorney can show me where that is in the rules right now, can you do that?
Commissioner, you are out of order, and I have not recognized you, so please
Regardless,
desist.
show me that in the rules. You can't.
We
So
will
you're just not
discuss that
following
at a
rules,
later
correct?
time.
You're not following rules, correct?
Thank you. Now, if you would go ahead with your presentation.
Good morning, Commissioner ladies, and everything. I'm Thomas Rice, and I'm with MLFL, Miracles Love for Life. And this is Mr. Simmons, who is here with me. We are here today to present to y'all what we are building, the restoration of Hope Village, to house homeless veterans and homeless people here in Goldsboro, Wayne County. We have some property down here on the end of Slogan Street, right at the back gate of the base, where we're gonna build 40 houses. It's gonna be consist of 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, and 3 bedroom places. We're gonna have areas there for health care, mental health care, and all the things that they need to deal with the homeless population, because one of the biggest things is the health care and the mental health situation about it. And we have been before city council and been rezoned and everything, and our plans are being done up now. And what we're here for today to try to get everybody to collaborate with us so we can take and move this on forward, because it would be something great, not only for the city, but for the county, because we could give these people some stability in their lives and help them get their lives together and everything. And as it comes under the affordable housing rules, affordable housing accommodates people, but one of the criteria of they have to be working for a year, have to have employment and all this. So what we're gonna be doing is like grade school. We're getting them prepared. We're getting the homeless people prepared to be the part of affordable housing, because you can't go from being homeless right into affordable housing, because the rule won't allow it. So we are here today to present this before y'all, so y'all could come along and get with us and help us make this. I have Mr. Simmons here who can explain this a lot more in detail, because he knows about the way the plans and everything is designed. So I'll let him speak now, and then I'll say.
Good morning, County Commissioners. My name is David Simmons. I'm the president of C-Center of Wayne County. We are a collaboration of associates ranging from federal to state contractors of a building nature and multiple different natures of the sort. We have a collaboration of different counselors that works with us, that deals with behavior issues, drug-related issues, and things of that sort, and several other nonprofit organizations that is collaboration with us. We are here as an advocate to support the MLFL There Again initiative. After analyzing his particular proposal, we have embraced it to the point that we have designated about 15 acres of land that we can actually develop this particular property here. As an individual that's licensed in multiple different trades of the sort here in the state of North Carolina, also a workforce development instructor at Wayne Community College, and involving several other initiatives that's related to what this particular nonprofit organization is involved with. We have truly embraced it as something that I think is going to be worthwhile. Respecting all of the other initiatives that's going on in this particular town, be it the Habitat for Humanity, be it the congregational, there again, living quarters that's being provided now, Fordham House, so forth and so on. Even the Goldsboro Housing Authority with the low-income housing, there again, programs that they have. We hope to work very closely with each and every one of them. We have identified a void in which there is people out there that's wanting to basically establish a non-congregational type of living quarters of the sort, and basically to raise their family and to raise themselves up in a rehabilitation manner where they can take on their, again, bigger initiatives in their lives. And that's essentially what we're working towards through the Section 8 housing program and other Durgan programs that's out there. We plan to network with a national organization that deals with anything from food stamp accommodation, FA, there again, financing, the list goes on and on and on as to what this national organization is basically already doing, that we hope to basically be a satellite for Wayne County for that organization. We don't plan to just limit what we do in the spot of land that I just made mention of. We have several other satellite locations here in Wayne County that we plan to incorporate this initiative also. And who knows, the Lord may lead us even well beyond Wayne County. We ask that you guys embrace the initiative that Thomas Rice and his organization and others have embraced, such as T. Lovin, Mount Olive Pickle. The list goes on and on and on, of people and organizations that see the need for what we're talking about putting together. Thank y'all so much for your time and your support for Wayne County.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And like Mr. Simmons said, we have several areas that we're going to work on to do this. And we're just asking for y'all blessings and y'all to support us in this effort.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Rice?
Yes, sir.
Make a quick comment. I'm sorry.
Excuse me. I think Commissioner Williams, go ahead.
Mr. Rice, first off, I want to thank you and Mr. Simmons and the other organizations that are connecting with you and helping you with this project. It's a necessary project in this community. I mean, everywhere you look within the city, you see homeless population. You see the need there. And you just can't give them a house. You have to give them some health benefits. You have to give them some therapies if it may be psychological, but it's a need. And I think that it's going to help the community as a whole. When I come outside of my place, I see people sleeping on the benches. And I wish that I had the resources to help them. So I'm glad that y'all are starting the process. I wanted to know, my main thing is, what do you need from us to help you with this process? Because that's one thing that I didn't hear.
Well, our project is going to cost us $4 million to do. And that's why we are trying to get everybody together, because we asking y'all for money. So I'm not asking for the whole $4 million, but to put in whatever you can, because every little bit helps. And like I said, we got others that's contributing. Goldsboro Building Supply, they're working with us. TA Lovin is a sponsor of us, Mount Olive Pickle. And we're also, in the future, in Habitat for Humanity is working with us. And see, like I said, it's going to be a thing. We're going to grow them and I guess we advance them out to Habitat and they build houses for them. But one way or the other, we're going to advance them on through to get them into their own home and everything. But mostly now, like we have some other avenues where we can go to get funding, but we just want everybody to collaborate together, and so that wouldn't put so much strain on everybody. The city's going to come in and help us also, so we asking for the county to help us also too. So, like I said, it's going to cost me like $4 million, but we're not asking you for the $4 million.
That's good.
But we're asking you to contribute
Sure.
what you can. And this thing is not going to be where we're going to look to run to y'all every time we need money, because we're going to be able to sustain ourselves, but we just need a helping hand to get going.
Commissioner Harris.
No, I would just say, Mr. Rice, I commend you on what you're trying to do and hopefully success. But could you and Mr. Simmons make sure that the clerk has your contact information, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to ask another question.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Now, I know that you used to train individuals when it came to contracting, laborers and things of that nature. Will this program also be training individuals to get them back into the workforce?
Yes, sir. We would teach them to do. We're going out on our place out there on 117. We're going to connect with Wayne Community College, and we're going to bring heavy equipment training course there. They're going to train them to do heavy equipment. Along with Mr. Simmons here, we're going to teach them how to do electrical and general contracting stuff. And we have other programs like I'm certified with the North Carolina Department of Transportation, where DOT, where we can teach them flagging, and we're work zone supervisors, where we can go out and set up the work zone area. And we got different things that we're gonna put them and have them doing to teach them different grades of things and be able to give them some stability so they could and get them placed on a job. That's one of the number one things. Get them placed on a job, all the able-bodied ones that we can. So when they advance out from us, they have a job, they have a place to go, and they have some life skills to get them back in the floor thing. So that's what basically we're going to be doing.
Yes, and this is a collaborative initiative to provide essentially what you indicated. As I indicated, we are connected with several federal as well as state contractors that are really mandated to support this demographics of people, to maintain their particular federal, certifications in which they have. So it is an amazing opportunity to fill a void that is needed in this particular area.
Yes, I appreciate that. I was just actually talking to some contractors this morning, and they were talking about a labor crisis where they can't even find anyone to move material around. So, I mean, I think that's going to be, in the future, that's going to be wonderful. I can't wait to see the first location that you guys put together. And I think that'll give this board an opportunity to see where you're heading at. So even if it's just, 1 or 2 units, I can't wait to see them.
Good enough. And bear in mind, these are mini homes. We're actually able to build them in our warehouse facility at 71 South George Street, which is the old Coca-Cola facility. And that's speaks dynamics because we're able to do so in a controlled environment and basically provide year-round accommodation for that type of work. And we are basically going to be networking with other builders of the sort that has a similar mind that we have, and that is not just to meet a profit margin, but to help our people.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Our next presenter is Matthew Whittle, Habitat for Humanity.
Thank you all for the opportunity. Again, Matthew Whittle. I am the Executive Director for Habitat for Humanity of Goldsboro, Wayne. After our annual breakfast back in early November, Mr. Hardison asked me to come and share with the commissioners. We shared with the City Council last night as well. So the opportunity to just sort of update what we're doing right now and kind of where we're going over the next year or so. Start off with, of course, with our vision. Habitat's vision is a community in which everyone has a decent place to live. That is what we work toward, that's what we strive toward. And it is encouraging this morning that you'll are hearing two presentations on the subject of affordable housing, of workforce housing, affordable home ownership, MLFL and Habitat. Like they said, we are looking forward to ways to partner, looking forward to ways to collaborate in the future, because everyone does deserve a decent place to live. To that end, our mission is to work with our neighbors in Wayne County to share God's love by building homes, communities, and hope through affordable housing, and more specifically, through affordable home ownership, because that is Habitat's focus, is that affordable home ownership piece. So what do? I mentioned affordable home ownership. Our primary program is what we call our Building Foundations program. That is our new home construction program. That's where we work with families, low to moderate income families, usually first-time home buyers, to give them the opportunity to become homeowners, give them the opportunity to become affordable homeowners and build a new foundation for their families. We have to say a foundation of strength, stability, and self-reliance. We also know that there are many low to moderate income families in our community that already own their homes. Often these are elderly families on fixed incomes for one reason or another. And so we know that a lot of times those homes, you can drive around Goldsboro, Wayne County, and see that those homes are in disrepair. They have fallen into behind a little bit on some of that routine maintenance. And so we offer what we call our Brush with Kindness program, which is geared toward working with them to help families stay in their homes in an affordable nature, to make those repairs in such ways. We partner with that program through United Way and others in the community. We, of course, have the Habitat Restore. That's how most people in Wayne County interact with Habitat. That's our thrift store downtown. That's how most folks know us. They come in, whether to purchase or whether to donate. That's our most popular outreach. To help get our homeowners prepared, like Thomas mentioned, you can't just hand somebody a home. And Habitat never gives out homes, so we sell our homes. But we can't just give somebody a home. We can't just sell them a home without making sure they're prepared for success. And so we partner with Bank on Wayne through Literacy Connections and others in the community to provide financial counseling to make sure they have those financial management skills in order to be successful, in order to maintain their budget, to remain in their homes. We also have our Homeowner Learning Lab. And what that is, it is a series of workshops. Some of them are hands-on, practical skills. Some of them are more informational, instructional, where we teach our homeowners about things ranging from homeowners insurance, how to understand what their insurance policy covers or doesn't cover. We teach them about estates and wills and the importance of making sure they're protecting that asset for their families. We teach them how to maintain their home once they're in it, whether it's a hole in the drywall that needs to be patched or whether it's a leaky faucet. We teach them those skills that, in many cases, our families have not had the opportunity to learn. In many cases, they've rented for their entire lives. For generations, their families might have rented. And so they've not had the opportunity necessarily to learn some of these home ownership maintenance skills. And we also talk to them about the importance of being a good neighbor. And that can range from anything from remembering to cut your grass to how to interact in a neighborhood, in a community. All those things that make our homeowners successful throughout Wayne County. And of course, that doesn't end once they buy their house. That homeowner support continues. We are very proud of our track record of success with our families. Our families are very successful in remaining in their homes, and that is in large part due to their continued support. They know that they can come to us if they need help, if they have questions, anytime. They're always welcome to come to us. As long as we maintain open lines of communication, we can help our families get through most challenges. Then again, that's also making sure they can be in contact with programs like Wages or Rebuild NC or the HOPE program, some of these other programs, that, especially during this time of COVID. I want to talk a little bit about our impact in 2021. We built 3 new homes in 2021. If it wasn't for COVID and some other extenuating circumstances, we probably would have gotten 4 to 5 homes done. But we only got the 3 done in fiscal year 2021, and our fiscal runs from July 1 to June 30th. We repaired 11 existing homes as well. I want to point out our volunteers, and this is important because you have those 1,800 volunteers, and that is another way that we interact with and that we support the community. In that 1,800 number of volunteers, we have a number of students that come to us looking for those hours for high school, for college, for those graduation requirements. Of course, you have your churches preparing themselves for mission trips and others. You have airmen who come out to volunteer who need those hours for their service reports. And in that 1,800, you have a number of folks who are doing their community service hours. We have a great working relationship with parole probation and the community service program to make sure that folks have the opportunity to work off that debt to society with Habitat. And we have some amazing volunteers, some long-term volunteers that have come out of that program. Donations, we always want to share how we're supported. We have nearly $340,000 we raised last year in local gifts and local grants, local foundation awards. Of that, 220 of that was restricted. Some of that was restricted to a build we're doing up in Pikeville, our faith build. Some of it's restricted to a build that we're doing next year in Mount Olive. Because we do build all throughout Wayne County. We build in Mount Olive. We've done 10 homes in Mount Olive. We have 2 homes right now that we're working on in Pikeville as part of what we called our special Habitat Thriving Faith Build, a partnership between Thriving Financial, Habitat, and about 26 churches in Wayne County. Our estimated economic impact, this is one thing that I wanted to point out because a lot of times when we're talking about Habitat, we focus a lot, and rightly so, on the families that we serve, on the impacts that we have, those generational impacts that we have with the families we work with. But it is also worth noting that we are not just a nonprofit. We are a nonprofit, but Habitat runs a retail operation in the thrift store, in the restore. Habitat is a mortgage finance and servicing company, and we are also a construction company. And so we have an economic impact in Wayne County in fiscal year 2021 of over $1 million. As for every dollar we invest, that turns over to $1.60 in the local economy, supporting 24 jobs. And that's not just the jobs, the folks that we have on our payroll. That's jobs we help support buying those goods, that lumber, those materials that goes with builders, at Lowe's, working with local subcontractors, et cetera. Since 2001, we have built 85 homes. We are now up to 87, and will soon be 89. At the moment, we have 5 homes under construction, 2 in Goldsboro, 2 in Pikeville, and we actually will have 1 that we're going to be building in Kinston this year as we look for opportunities to serve multiple people and to fill a need in a neighboring county. We've repaired 25 homes. That number is also now up to 27 since this report was done at the end of the fiscal year. And so we've served 174 families. And one other point I wanted to mention is that property taxes. Habitat is we're also proud of the fact that not only are we putting families in homes, we're giving them the opportunity to buy their homes at affordable rates, opportunities to build those new foundations and better futures we spoke about. But we are also taking properties in Wayne County, and often these are properties, these are lots that other builders are not interested in. These are lots that would likely not be developed if it were not for Habitat for Humanity. And we put those properties back into your tax rolls here throughout Wayne County, in Goldsboro, Pikeville, Mount Olive, 1 or 2 up in Fremont as well, to the tune of just over $1 million in property taxes paid. And so that's our homeowners reinvesting into the community as they become productive, and those properties become productive pieces once again. Wanted to share what we're doing right now. Like I said, we have the two properties that we're building in Pikeville. We have 2 we're working on in Goldsboro, and the 1 that we're building in Kinston. Those are all mostly be done by June. Is our goal. What we're looking at here is this is a neighborhood back behind Franklin Bakery. It's what we're calling our Marshall Street neighborhood. And so you have North Georgia Avenue, Marshall Street, and North Alabama Avenue. It's up above the West Haven community. And so we had the opportunity to acquire some lots. The 2 on North Georgia, there's 2 long, skinny lots with the check marks on them. Those were lots that were donated to Habitat by the city and county. And we appreciate that. And that's an example of us taking 2 foreclosed lots and putting them back into productive circulation. We took those lots, we built 2 new houses on them. Those homeowners closed in late October and early November, respectively. And they are so excited about being in their homes. And we'll share a little bit of one of them here in just a moment. The 2 in the corner are the ones we're building right now on Marshall Street. We're excited about that. We'd love to have you come out sometime. Swing a hammer with us if you'd like. If you just want to come out and look at what we're doing, give me a call. I'll be happy to meet you out there. We'll walk the site. We'll talk a little bit more in detail about the houses themselves, about how we build them to energy efficiency standards. And we can do that in Goldsboro. We can do that in Pikeville. In the summer, we can do that in Mount Olive if you'd like. But then on around, you'll see we're going to be building another 7 to 8 houses. But next fiscal year, our 22-23 fiscal year, those 5 houses, those 5 lots along North Alabama, that's our target. We have those families are now doing their sweat equity hours. They've all come into the program, and we're excited to be working with them. There's 300 hours of sweat equity that we require as part of that partnership. They're working hard, and they're excited about this opportunity to be part of a new neighborhood, this opportunity to build their new futures, to raise their families in this new neighborhood right here in Goldsboro. So I want to share this quick video. Carol, can you help me? How do I do this?
That did not come through.
It did not come through. Okay, well, then we will skip that. And I'll sum up what it was. It was a little video, just a minute long. You can find it on our Facebook page. You can find it on our website of Thomas Saunders, our newest homeowner. If any of you shop at the Ash Street Food Line here in town, he's one of the lead cashiers there, and he is our newest homeowner. He's very excited about his new home. We had his home dedication back in late October. He closed on his home 1st of November. The one thing about his video that stands out to us, and we've shared this video last night, we shared it with several churches that we've spoken with here around Thanksgiving, the holiday season, is at the end of the video, at the end of that minute, he makes a comment about, he's in his new house right at the dedication. He makes a comment about how much he loves his floors. Brand new house. He's never had a house of his own before. And he makes a comment about how much he loves his floors. And that struck me, it struck several of us, because we talk a lot about the big impacts that Habitat has. We talk a lot about the opportunity for families to build generational wealth. We talk about the opportunity for children to be able to do their homework in their own rooms. We talk a lot about the fact that families can live healthier lives when they're out of dilapidated housing. But it also matters the simple things, those small things, the Habitat gives families opportunity to experience. And for Mr. Tom, when he said, "I love my floors," it was a little thing. In the grand scheme of things, it's a very little thing about his new house that he's excited about. But it means the world to him. And it's an opportunity that the Habitat provided because of the support of Wayne County. In this case, because of the support of the City Council and you, the County Commissioners, because he's on one of those lots that was foreclosed on and was donated to us. And so we appreciate that. And so we just wanted to share with you kind of what we've done and where we're going in the immediate future. We have some long-range plans that we're working on. And as those come to fruition, we'll be coming back and sharing some of that, we hope, over the next 6 months to 9 months. But I do appreciate everyone's support, and if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Mr. Chairman.
Any questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Aiken.
Ms. Twiddle, what is the decision on where Habitat's home goes? I mean, what is some of the criteria of picking a location or picking a family or?
Sure. Well, so okay, two different things there as far as location and the family. Location, we will look for lots just about anywhere. If it is a buildable lot, if it is in a neighborhood that is safe, it is not near any sort of course, we look at crime. We look at any sort of existing environmental threats to the property of the surrounding area. But if it's a good buildable lot, we will, and we can afford it, or if it's donated to us, we will likely build there. As far as the families go through a qualification process. We have an application process once a year, runs from June 1 to August 31st. And during that time, we take applications from families, and we're looking at various things. First, for our program, currently they have to live in Wayne County, live or work in Wayne County. If they do that, they have to have a housing need, which means they are experiencing some sort of a housing crisis, whether it's a dilapidated house, whether it is an overcrowded house. If they live in public housing or receive government support for their home, that is considered a housing need as well. So we look for a housing need for those families. They have to fall within our income range. We do work with 40 to 80% of median family income for Wayne County. And then they have to have the ability to pay because, as I said, we do not give these homes away. Our families are buying them at affordable mortgages. And so we look primarily at their debt-to-income ratio, making sure they can afford that home that we're going to be selling to them when the time comes. And so, for example, this year we received over 400 applications during that 3-month period. Of those, about 30 to 40 were qualified to the point that we asked them to provide additional information to us. Of those, about 10 did reply, and we're going to be building, 9 of those replied, and we're going to be building for 6 of those in the coming fiscal year.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, you say, you don't give them the homes if you help them with the finance. No. What's your turnover rate?
Very little. We in the 87 houses we've built, we have had 3 families that were not successful. Two of those were before my time. One was a true foreclosure where they decided to stop paying. And we took the appropriate steps after that. We had the next two families gave us the houses back. They ran into some personal issues that they were no longer able to stay in their houses. And so they deeded the houses back to us, and we were able to recycle those back, all three of those back to other families. Go in, repair them, fix them up, and recycle them back into the program.
Great. Any other questions?
Thank you all so much. Appreciate
Thank you
it.
so much. Our next presenter is Register of Deeds, Constance Corum. Ms. Corum.
Good morning, Commissioners. I probably need to take this off. Good morning, Commissioners and the citizens of Wayne County. First, I would like to apologize to you and the citizens of Wayne for causing the actions from my last appearance. I felt the need because I was not able to get on the agenda, so I took the necessary steps to be heard. I've been under much stress, and I've handled matters in an improper manner. So I'm asking the citizens of Wayne County to please take that into consideration and forgive my actions. And I realize, and I would like to thank County Attorney Neal and HR Director Moore for helping me understand things more clearly. I took an oath of office to serve the people and to be sure our instruments are taken care of. I would also like to thank county commissioners for making the decision not to impose, from what I thought I understood, the restrictions of county manager's recommendations. With his recommendations, the operations of the Register of Deeds would be heavily impacted. The more responsibility and the more jobs that will be removed from this position will diminish this office. So I thank you if I understood correctly your response. I would like to ask that you realize the operations of the Office of Register of Deeds is rapidly changing, and some of the restrictions, as I have outlined in my presentation, needs our budgeted requirements. There are changes that have been required by the general statutes of the state of North Carolina. So please realize I am fully aware that I need your help. The office will not operate efficiently and up to its capacity if it does not have the proper manpower and the proper staff assigned, if it does not have the proper budget to purchase the increase of new equipment that is now required. The increased costs will be the need not only of Wayne County, but across the state. As technology increases and we learn how to use technology more efficiently, we have to require that equipment. We have to require that equipment that will allow us to keep up to date with technology and to meet the state standards, and that is needed to operate this office. This is a new day and time. We can no longer run the office as we have done in the past. As I speak to you today, I ask you to pay close attention that much has occurred in the last 12 months. I definitely need your support in the projects needed to upgrade this office. COT is already approved for the past 5 years, for the next 5 years as our vendor. And they have a method to assist us into reaching the 21st century. As of December 31st, 21, the state goes paperless, and we will no longer receive paper birth records or paper death certificates, and we will have to pull them from the new NC-DAVE system. A lot of notaries currently are being done electronically, and again, our office is unable to make that transition at this time. We are still, we have already began scanning our births and deaths into the COT system as of this year, but we have a great number of documents to go. Our COT vendor has explained, with the assistance of our current staff, we could lessen the cost of I'm nervous, so I can't speak, digitizing this information. We could have our certificates online before the end of the year. They will not all be up there by then, but we will be in a much better position to get our office up to standards. The department has an agreement with COT to digitize our 1964 to 1968 indexes for conveyances and attach the books that the prior registrar started scanning. Online index books limits the liability of Wayne County Register of Deeds office versus full re-indexing. They will be recreating what was recorded and making it searchable online. Online index books is fully integrated with our current search technology, eSearch. All support for us and our constituents will remain with one vendor. COT has been the vendor of choice for Wayne County for many years. The features in the online index books will reduce foot traffic for research, reducing record preservation needed in the future. Other counties nearby that use COT are Halifax, Edgecombe, Nash, Greene, Onslow, and Lenoir. The electronic pages of the books will be examined for quality and readability, and pages will be numbered to allow for linkage between index books and cards and record book entries. The source of index and record book images and/or image index cards may be included, though is not limited to microfilm, microfiche, CDs or DVDs containing the information in TIF format, and original hard copy index and record books and record cards. Project efforts will include online scanning from original books and/or index cards. COT will use reasonable efforts to provide a quality image. The Office of Register of Deeds is responsible for ensuring that the quality of the captured index and record books are updated. Lease fees, the schedule of payments, invoice upon receipt of signed contract of $13,600. Invoice upon on live date training is $150 a month. Vital records, online index books and records, indexed to births prior to 1913 to 1924, 1925 to 1935, 1936 to 1944, 1944 to 1952, 53 to 59, 60 to 66, 67 to 73, 74 to 78, 79 to 86, 87 to 94, and that's for the births. The index for the deaths are from 1913 to 1943, from 44 to 1960, from 61 to 1970, from 1971 to 1984, 1985 to 1994. Online scanning will be done by COT, a total of 27 index books, loose leaf, and 389 records, loose leaf. COT systems will provide one live webinar training session to the office, providing on live support. Trainees must be available during the designated training times as determined by COT system and, of course, the Office of Register of Deeds. Initial support service term 60 months, $67,980, and that will be at $150 a month. In addition, we would like, after the first of the year, 2020, that we look into CoFile, who is also a current vendor, who can start ensuring that we are preserving our vital records, rebinding our books, and bringing our documents to a point of being able to be read and actually states what is being said and preserving the books. Lastly, due to the number of new employees, we will need much more additional training. So I'm asking that you would consider that as part of our budget. I'd like to thank you for listening to this presentation. And if you have any questions as to the need for this money for the department, I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Okay. Is there any questions or comments?
Yes, Mr. Chair. First of all, I commend you for coming in and, apologizing to those individuals that you felt that you might have, wronged. I really appreciate that. That takes a lot. My question is pertaining to the training. The training, $67,980. Is that in your budget at this point?
No, it is not.
It is not.
It is not. My budget, I've already been told by the auditors that I don't currently have enough money in my budget to sustain me throughout the remainder of the year. So we are definitely going to have to make more amendments, or with hopes that you all might be able to provide some funding so that we can actually step up to the 21st century.
In layman terms, can you explain how vital this COT system training is?
Extremely, because we would be on doing everything electronically, and no one has any training because we don't have the features to do that at this time. So we would have to have them come in, which my vendor has agreed that he will come in from time to time, and they will also give us online training. But there is a cost to that as well.
Yeah. I didn't hear you mention how much revenue has come through the office. Can you offhand ballpark figure?
There's $1.8 million that was received, and I'm sorry I didn't add that to this information. $1.8 million that was received. $1.4 million of that is a part of the tax department's money, the tax department's report as of June of 2021. So as of June 2021, the Register of Deeds has increased its revenue by $400,000, something that has never been done in the history of Wayne County.
One other question, and then I'll be complete. Has your office caught up with some of the? We are
now in December the 1st. I've indexed up to December the 1st. And we have people working today during the 2nd and 3rd with hopes that we will be able to get December completed before the end of the year, because it is a necessity. And I can tell you that I spend many hours at home, on weekends, sometimes in the office, just to make sure that the key verifying is done so that we can actually release days. It has been a very stressful time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you. And thank you for listening.
Okay, next, item 4 is staff recommendations for dealing with the Register of Deeds finances.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you're aware, at your August 17th, 2021 meeting, the board approved of hiring a new position in county finance to help the Register of Deeds with their county finances, i.e. accounts payable, state reports, etc. This new position started approximately 2 weeks ago. In order to clarify job responsibilities of finance and the Register of Deeds, we would like to recommend approval by the Board of Commissioners the attached memo outlining responsibilities for each department, and that is on page 36 and 37 of your agenda packet. We've reviewed these processes with our local auditor and local government commission to see if they had any issues on what is being proposed. And they did offer some suggestions for us to include that we did include as well. This is an effort to try to come up with a workable solution to this situation for all parties. This will be a work in progress because we know of no other county that has similar working situation between finance and the Register of Deeds. Please let me know, and also know if you have any questions.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move that the recommendations from the county manager on the handling of finances for Register of Deeds be approved.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor for approval of the recommendations from the county manager on the handling of finances with the Register of Deeds.
Mr. Chair.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to know, Mr. Honeycutt, what were some of the recommendations, if you can, in layman terms?
The issues that we've had is a lot of keying into the software system, our Munis system. So basically, we would remove that responsibility from the Register of Deeds, put that to the new finance officer position or the new finance position, and have them key it in the system. The Register of Deeds still has the responsibility of approving invoices, submitting invoices, those type things. We're not taking any of that approval away from her. But as far as putting it into the Munis system, we would do that at the finance level. As far as budgeting, she still has the authority. She still has authority for budget amendments. She still has authority over her budget. However, this will take away the Munis piece that is where we seem to have some issues with. The other issue that it would be is that we're asking for read-only access to COT reports. Again, don't want to have any responsibility to have access to key in information to COT. In order to help her do her reports, we do need access to COT to make sure that those reports are turned in on time. So again, it really will go back to a manual process for her. And then as far as the keying in, that will be done by finances. Did I miss anything else?
So she still has authority?
She still has authority.
Okay, that's what I was concerned about.
Ma'am, you're not recognized.
Please.
Wait.
I'm not trying
If
to.
you've got some
I'm really
questions,
not trying to.
if you will take those up with the county manager.
I was just about to ask the question
Okay.
to how our Register of Deeds feels about the situation, because we would like her input just as well as we like any other department head's input when something is going on with their department. So I was just going to ask her to come up and speak because she was still here. So.
Thank you. Thank you,
No,
sir.
no,
Thank you, sir.
just a moment. I am not asking for any more comments as such. And
You just asked for
as
comments.
such, as chair, I'm just saying, we are in fact taking recommendations from staff, and those discussions are by the commissioners. We have not asked for any input from anyone else.
I'm asking for input now.
I understand you
Okay, let me
may
ask
be,
you a
but
question. When we had other directors up here in other departments, we've asked recommendations from Human Resources, we've asked recommendations from those departments.
I
So why
understand.
now we wouldn't do that?
We are not asking for any comments at all from anyone. So if you have some comments, you're more than welcome.
I just asked because I'm trying to get information.
I understand.
Earlier in this meeting, you said that you didn't want to have something on the agenda because you didn't have information. So therefore, I'm asking for information now so I can make a.
We've already
a
had
vote.
discussion. These discussions are within the board.
Okay.
Any other comments?
Her giving this information will be within the board
I
too,
understand
right?
that.
Just
Okay.
no different. So
Being
why
a
do we
motion
even
on the
ask?
floor and no
Why do
other
we ask our
comments,
county
I call
manager
for
for
the
information?
question. And with that in mind, all those in favor of the motion,
You
please
are
signify
bad.
by raising your right hand.
Please, sir, please.
All those
Y'all a
opposed,
joke.
all those
Y'all a
opposed,
joke,
raise
man.
your right hand.
Please, sir.
Y'all
All right, the
terrible,
motion is
man.
carried.
I have
We're
no
moving
morals,
forward.
no nothing.
Thank you so
Y'all
much.
don't care.
Ms. Corum, if you could just
It is terrible.
if you can just write a letter to the commissioners on what you've
That's right.
observed
You made
today, I
that
think that would
comments
be.
by written.
It's too late now.
Right.
Thank you so much.
But if this decision, because this is not even the response that I received from the county manager on just
Thank you so
yesterday.
And the county manager was
The
supposed to
county-
speak with you about that
Exactly.
information and get back to us,
Thank
but
you
you
so
didn't.
much.
And he did
We're
not.
moving forward.
And he did not.
We have the consent agenda at this point, and on the consent
Man, they should've
agenda
never
of
gave you
those
a
items,
gavel.
I would entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda. Appointment committee, I apologize.
Not a problem.
We do have a appointment committee, and I do understand you have a report.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. The appointment committee met this morning, and we submit the following. Appoint Carrie Ann James and Judith Gray to the Wayne County Tourism Development Alliance, replacing Tyrone Barrett and Bharat Prajapati, and that's in form of a motion.
All right, we have a motion from the Appointments Committee. Any discussion on the motion? Being none, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed?
And that's all.
All right, we're moving on to the consent agenda. I'm sorry, I didn't see the Appointment Committee.
That's all right. I'm ready.
Consent agenda. I entertain a motion for approval of consent agenda.
So moved.
All right, we got a motion. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, the consent agenda is, in fact, if there's items that are not supposed to have any opposition, and consent agenda should be unanimous unless something is removed.
Agreed.
And so for the last two meetings, it hasn't been, including today. So I need to make you aware of that, because if that's, in fact, I can't do a split vote on the
All right,
consent agenda.
Commissioner Foster, what item would you have us remove from the consent agenda if you are opposed to the consent agenda?
I would like some more information on the property on Walnut.
You would like to have more information on
Yes.
that?
I can show you the property, I believe. Well, it's in your agenda, actually. The information's in your agenda.
And who is Oliver Design?
The city would have to answer that unless.
I can fill in what we have.
What page is that on? Does anyone know?
62 on page 62 to 68.
Okay, I see it now.
Good morning. This was a request from the city. It was 412 East Walnut Street. The city received an offer from Oliver Design. It was $9,500. The tax value on that property is $6,210. City and council approved it at their November 15th, 2021 meeting. I don't know the specifics of Oliver Design. To my knowledge, it's just a local LLC that buys property. I don't know of any plans they have for it or anything to that effect. I can certainly follow up with the city if the board needs me to. I do know it was offered to the adjoining property owners because that's standard procedure for the city when they receive these types of offers. But if you needed more additional information on Oliver Design, I can reach out to
I just
city
know
finance.
with the cities, there's been some discrepancy sometimes with them with land. And I would like to kind of sort of get some more information on Oliver Design, because never heard of the company, never seen anything about them, and all of a sudden you're purchasing the property, which, I mean, it could be perfectly fine. But I just know the problems that we've had that have occurred within the city with purchasing property.
I understand.
So,
So is that the one item that you would like to remove from consent agenda?
Yes.
All right, is there any other item on consent agenda that you would like removed?
No.
All right, I would entertain a motion for approval of consent agenda with the exception of item 3.
So moved.
Which is the motion to approve sale of surplus property at 412 East Walnut Street. So we have a motion on the floor for approval with the exception of item 3. Any discussion on the motion?
When would item 3 be brought back up?
Very shortly.
I could get that information and have it ready for the next meeting.
Actually, I will entertain a motion right after the consent agenda on the matter.
Okay.
Thank you very much. All those in favor of the motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of item 3 signify by raising your right hand. All right, that was a unanimous vote. I will now entertain a motion for action on item 3.
I'd like to make a motion that we...
No motion?
Commissioner Williams has one.
I'd like to make a motion that we actually return with this item next commissioners meeting.
All right. There's a motion on the floor that item 3 be placed on the agenda at our next meeting. Any discussion on the motion? Being none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed?
It don't matter to me.
Was that a yea or a nay?
Yeah, but yeah.
Okay,
It don't matter.
so that was unanimous.
Just to make sure I understand, they have reached out to both owners on both sides of their property.
They have to.
Right, so they've done that?
There's a local bill that applies to them, so before they can go through with this process, they have to offer it to the
So
adjoining property.
what we're doing, this guy, whoever this is or company, has paid more than what it's worth, correct?
His offer is
More than the tax
value, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
And so what we're doing is we're going to just find out who Oliver Design Group is.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that'll work.
All right. Our next item is unfinished, I'm sorry. Yes.
Motion for.
Our next item was unfinished business, the Cad Contract Amendment.
Yes, sir. As we discussed in the pre-agenda, there's some issue with respect to getting money approved by the 911 board for our CAD project. We have had tentative approval from the 911 board, but they may not make final decision on that till the budget year. The staff to the board has tentatively will give recommendation for approval, but the full board will not approve that until the spring or early summer. What we're asking for is to still move forward with that project.
All right. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move that the board approve a CAD contract with Central Square Solutions contingent on county attorney approval and preliminary approval by 911 board staff and the appropriate budget amendment attached.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Any discussion on the motion? Being none, all those in favor of the motion to approve the modifications signify by raising your right hand.
Excuse me, Chair. With the land, I would also like if our attorneys could get the information, making sure that the city sent out notices to the joint property. And if so, can we reach out to them also to make sure that they have been served with that notice? Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we are opening for public comment. I apologize, actually, that was supposed to be prior to the unfinished business. But anyone that would, that has signed up for public comments, each speaker will have a time limit of 3 minutes. And I want to remind those that are speaking during public comment time that your comments should be respectful. And per our policy, all comments should be germane to topic to which this board has some control over. Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir.
We got anyone signed up for public comment?
Yes, sir. We have a Mr. Tony Howell who is signed up first.
Mr. Tony Howell.
Thank you so much. I am Tony Howell, Town Administrator for Fremont, and I appreciate this opportunity. I want to thank, first of all, Chairman Dudley and the Wayne County Commissioners, Mr. Craig Honeycutt, Ms. Donna Phillips, and I'd just like to recognize that Ms. Mayor Pro Tem Joyce Artis is here with us today, Alderman Leroy Ruffin, and Mr. John Pippin, all from Fremont, so we do thank them for attending. Just want to be brief because I know I have to be. As I do thank all of you for your flexibility and leniency in working with us in our former library in Fremont. As discussed, the building has several concerns, with the most apparent a leaking roof, that short-term repairs have not done enough. In my short 8-month tenure as town administrator, I have been working to get funding for the roof and other repairs on the building. Concerning a Northern End library study in 2020, I would like to make the case that this year Fremont has seen an upsurge in new residential construction and development. We have the potential of 187 or more homes being built soon. To further break this down, 28 homes are now under construction and are either in the town limits or within proximity of Fremont's ETJ. Additionally, 4 lots in town are under development for new homes. There are plans for a 55-house subdivision with modifying it up to 68 homes. Also, there has been discussion for a new subdivision with approximately 100 homes just south of town. The new Fremont School located next to exit 14 off of I-795 may double in size, perhaps 600 to 800 students. Upon completion of the new school, the newer section of the existing Fremont School facing 222 West could be an opportunity for a northern branch library for both Fremont and Pikeville. Also, there is land immediately behind the Fremont School playground that might be considered. This location would offer great access for Pikeville residents via I-795 and the new Fremont School only just a block away. My concluding thoughts are if the county considers land in the Buck Swamp area for building a new library and merging Fremont and Pikeville libraries, the distance for Eureka and the most northern end residents could be as much as a 15-mile drive. Fremont strongly desires to have a library, and I feel locating a new library in Fremont will work well from a logistical and cost-effective standpoint for the northern end. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good to see you this morning.
Good to see you.
All right, is there anyone else that has signed up?
We have a Mr. David Simmons, but he already spoke, so I think he just signed this. You're right.
Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else?
No, sir, I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, public comment time is concluded, and we're moving on to new business. Motion to adopt Resolution 2021-44, a joint resolution with the Wayne County Public Schools allowing the use of $20 million in state funding for a new Rosewood Middle School and the appropriate budget amendment.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make that motion, but before I do, I'd like to commend the school board, Chairman West, to get this, for passing this resolution last night at their meeting.
Well, you all have seen the resolution, I'm sure, read it as such, and so you are making that motion?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay. Any discussion on the motion? Any comments from county manager?
Again, I do want to thank the superintendent, and I want to thank our local delegation as well, Representative Smith, Representative Bell, and Senator Perry. He's already gone. He's already gone. He's already, but no, this is a direct allocation to Wayne County, and the purpose of the dollars was really for Rosewood Middle School. And this can either be new construction or it can be renovation as well. But the commitment that we have, and this is why we're doing the joint resolution, that everybody knows that the $20 million is specifically for this project. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? Being none, all those in favor of the motion to adopt the resolution indicate by raising your right hand. All those opposed? And that was unanimous, I believe.
Yes, sir, it was.
All right, item 2, motion to approve recommendation of the Wayne County Library Director Donna Phillips and Library Advisory Board to permanently close the Fremont Branch Library. County Manager.
Mr. Chair, we can kind of continue the discussion that we had during our agenda meeting and talking about with respect to Fremont, and we really appreciate the town administrator and the work that he has done and really trying to shore up the building. But it's been about an 11-month process to get to this point. And, our concern was the assets that we have within the building, and also making sure that, the health and safety of our employees, if they were some mold issues as well. One of the things I think Donna's mentioned, and I applaud the library staff for doing, is to ensure that the level of service really hasn't dropped. So the hours that we were using in Fremont, we doubled up in Pikeville. But I think Donna said it's only a 3-mile drive as well. So we still are providing the services. The children's services are now being provided at the ACOC Center. So we're still trying to provide services and still recognize the need for libraries in the northern part of the county. I think that the issue about closing this permanently is that this helps us begin focus and looking at other options instead of maybe trying to go back and retrofit or renovate a building that may or may not be worth saving. So, Donna, did you want? Yeah.
Just to clarify, because something I heard you say, Commissioner Williams, earlier made me think that perhaps you think this is just a facility study plan for a northern regional library. And so I just wanted to clarify, this is the 2021 facility study plan that was completed for the entire Wayne County Public Library system. And it does indeed call for a regional approach to library services, as did the 2005 facility study plan. And that's just because that is economically the thing to do right now, to have a regional approach. Just like you're planning for regional economic development, you plan for regional public library service. All of you were given a copy of this. I took this to the county manager's office. All of you had your name on it, so it was delivered to you. But I recognize that you get a lot of documents, and so I had Megan make additional copies. And if you need a copy, if you'll just let Carol know, I'll be happy to give you either an electronic copy or an additional paper copy. We will have those for you. Also, the consultant Jeff Hall and Suzanne White, consultants who worked on this plan, were willing to come and do a presentation for you. And I checked with our county manager at the time. We were in the throes of COVID, and so at that time he asked us to just hold off on that. But at any time you are open to do that, he is willing to come and to share this in greater detail with you. This morning you heard in my presentation me talk about how public libraries are no longer just transactional in nature, but they indeed are places for interactive library use. And I won't go over everything I said this morning, but I hope in the remarks I made that you will understand that this is important to the continued economic growth and success of our county, that we plan for equitable library services in our county. We're turning our attention now, as these plans call for, to northern Wayne County, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner.
Ms. Phillips, anything that you did present to us this morning you feel like you need to repeat, please do so.
Oh, thank you. Okay, I will try to be brief. But in fairness, and thank you, Commissioner Aycock, I do appreciate the opportunity to do that. So I mentioned this morning that our goal is to provide equitable library services to all of Wayne County, and that is articulated clearly in our original facility study plan, which was completed in 2005, and our most recent facility study plan that was completed in 2021. Both of those plans call for a regional approach to public libraries and call for service areas, a central service area, a southern service area, and a northern service area. I mentioned to you that, as Mr. Honeycutt has again mentioned, that the board took factors into consideration, like we have not interrupted children's programming. Our library programming, actually, both for the Pikeville and the Fremont libraries, are taking place at Aycock Birthplace now. We offered curbside service at Fremont until it was suspended from lack of use. And the distance between the Fremont and Pikeville branches is 3.7 miles. I also want it noted that as the library director, it is my professional opinion, and I am in agreement with this recommendation, that this is the thing to do. The motion from the Library Board of Advisors had two parts to it. One part was that we permanently close the Fremont Branch Library, and the second part was they were recommending to the Board of Commissioners that we turn our attention to planning for a Northern Regional Library. For the last decade and longer, public libraries, largely because of advancing technologies, have been innovating and adapting. And today's public libraries are designed to be flexible spaces that allow for innovative learning. I talked to you about the memories that many of you have of a public library being a place where you go and you borrow books and pretty much go home. Maybe you went to the public library to complete a school assignment, or maybe later in life to take your children to story programming. And while those are very nice memories that many of us share, that does not paint an accurate picture of what public libraries are to do today. We are living in a knowledge economy, and public libraries recognize now that people are not just information consumers, but they are knowledge creators. And so our public libraries have morphed into full-service community centers that aim to meet a wide variety of educational, civic, and social needs. In addition to traditional library services that we all love and remember, there is also now workforce services for job seekers that are taking place in our libraries. Those are looking for new career paths, those who are underemployed or unemployed. Also, business owners and employees are using our library resources to support their small businesses, and entrepreneurs come to the library, oftentimes using public libraries' 3D printers to build prototypes for new products. Senior adults are receiving technology training in our public libraries so that they remain engaged in an increasingly digital world. And there are shared community common space in public libraries today, which encourage exploration, creation, and collaboration. And collaboration is important in our world today. There are digital labs in public libraries with access to technology, and not just that access, but also instructions so that people know how to use the technology and can have equitable opportunity for success. There are innovative learning and maker spaces. There's telehealth taking place in public libraries. There are social workers being placed in public libraries, because where better to come get information than a public library? I mentioned to you that the spaces in public libraries now are being designed for flexibility, and that's so that we can adapt with the changing needs of our users. But we also, when we're planning public libraries now, want to make sure that these spaces are equitable and that there's opportunity for all, including those who have learning and physical differences. Our public libraries in the Pikeville and Fremont communities now, just because of the nature of what those buildings were originally designed for, do not accommodate those needs. And so I thank you for your time. I just, in closing, will say, again, I want to reiterate what our board chair said this morning. Public libraries reflect on the value that communities place on education and quality of life. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Aycock.
Ms. Phillips, did you have the full vote of your library advisory board? Was it 100%?
Yes. Lee Holtz, the board chair, was not in attendance that day. She was out of county, but I talked with her before the meeting, let her know that was on the agenda, and she was in favor. Commissioner Williams was not present at the meeting, but everyone else voted unanimously.
I'd like to say one more thing, too. I've discussed this with Kendall Lee about the condition of the library. I understand that it is only mold, mildew, and stuff in the walls, and other concerns about your staff. And I've taken the information I have from you and from him very seriously, because I know how Fremont feels about the library. The study that's been done, I would like to see the board involved in some in this, because I still think it needs to be back towards the northern end instead of the Buck Swamp area. I really do, and that's going to be one thing that I'm going to really stand up for. And I want to see the library, at that end of the county. I know what's at northern end, and I know what's at Buck Swamp, because I'm right in the middle. So that's going to be my criteria when we get ready to look at the projection of a new library at the northern end, is where the location is. So I'm going to be very instrumental in looking at that. But I do see the need of what you're saying here, and it's a hard decision for me. It really is, because I work there and I love the library. I went over there several times and tried to keep, but I know the building is in stereo condition, and I'd love to see the money that the Fremont board is looking at, maybe utilizing that building for another purpose, because it could be a very valuable commodity for that end of the county. And so that's what I'm asking the Fremont board to really look at the condition of the building and what other use that building could be used for. Community building. If we're going to get money to repair the building, look at repairing it for another use and income for the town, because it's there. When I was at another town, the community building was rented out every month, and there was a long list of waiting people that had that need. And with the building going on in that area, there's going to be a need for a community building. And thank you, Donna, for your report.
Thank you, Commissioner Aycock. And just a final note on that, when the facility study plan, when they were researching, also the conversation about Rosewood and pulling services, Northern Wayne County for Rosewood to be included in that as well.
All right, any other questions or comments?
Thank you, Donna.
Donna, I did have one question, and that would be regarding the mobile library that evidently is coming shortly.
Yes.
When do you expect it to arrive?
Okay. Today, you approved the budget amendment, so I hope Noel's back there keying in a purchase order. We were waiting for the budget amendment, which would allow the purchase order to be dropped, which will allow us to order the vehicle. I anticipate that will take at least a year to get that vehicle
Did
built.
you say a year?
I think so, because of supply chain issues, but at least they were able to hold a chassis for us. So we were able to send a letter of intent, and so a chassis has been held for us. So if we get that purchase order, we can get cooking with gas this morning. I do think it'll be a year for them to build that. We were not the only library system to get a grant for a mobile library, so we have to get in the queue.
Sure. Okay, good enough. Thank you.
Dora.
Yes.
And I appreciate you and the library board utilizing the state-owned facility that's in the northern end. And that building's there, just use it. I mean, that's a facility that the county does not have to keep up, and it needs to be used, so utilize it. I mean, they got a fairly large auditorium and all there that should give you not ample space, but, some space.
Yes. Lee Strickland has been wonderful to work with, as she always is.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
This is indicated as an action item. Is there a motion?
Is a discussion, sir?
What now?
Is a discussion, if it's okay, because I noticed that.
Oh, yeah, we'll have discussion, sure.
I noticed that our director, she stated that it was a two-part motion, and that's what I asked our county manager initially, if it was a two-part motion.
It's a two-part recommendation, but really the motion that the board needs to approve of the closing right now. And again, the talk about a northern library and location and those type issues, that is a long-term discussion that we have to have. But what we really need from the board today is a motion to support the recommendation to close the Fremont Library.
Right, and then after that, we're having discussion on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Chair, I make the motion to approve recommendation from the Wayne County Library Director, Donna Phillips, and Library Advisory Board to permanently close the Fremont Branch Library.
Okay, there is a motion on the floor. Any discussion on the motion? I do have a little comment. I know this is a hard decision by all concerned. As far as the board, as far as our board, individual commissioners, as well as the folks in Fremont. But there's a real issue here, and we, unfortunately, this is a time where you have to kind of step up and do what you have to do. That said, all those in...
Mr. Doherty.
Yes, Commissioner Aycock.
This statement you just made is correct. This is a very, we make a lot of decisions up here, some of them are very easy. This is probably one of the most difficult choices that I've had to make since I've been on this board for 9 years. But we have to look at the big picture and take the recommendations from our library board and our library staff. Like I say, this is a very difficult decision to have to make. But we got to look at the big picture and not necessarily our individual thoughts, because I don't like doing things like this, but sometimes that you have no choice but to do it.
This is called hold your nose. with that in mind, all those in favor of the motion indicate by slowly raising your right hand. All those opposed? Okay, that was the tough one. That was really a tough one. Our next item on our agenda is discussion on the Dudley Library.
Thank you.
Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, commissioners, for indulging me in my concerns for Dudley. Dudley, as we all know, has been void of a library probably since its existence. And there's a need there. I have citizens that consistently say there's nothing in Dudley. There's no development there. However, you know, we are a big contributor in taxes. We have property values in excess of almost $334 million, and we don't see anything there. Our young people don't have anything to do. If they do go to the libraries, the closest library is in Mount Olive. And Mount Olive, if you don't have any transportation, if your family doesn't have transportation for you, you can't get there. Unfortunately, there's no way to get there. And an escape for a young person or someone seeking a job is to have access to a library. And nowadays, it's a digital library. And I just see a need there. I know that we've had studies done. However, I have to probably disagree with the studies. I think that they probably were focused more on other sections of the county opposed to the Dudley Marmac area. And I'd like to propose that we do a study for the Dudley Marmac area to see how valuable a library would be in those particular areas. It's a need. Again, I'm going to reiterate what our library director stated, and she said that, you know, that we need a leveling playing field. And there can't be a leveling playing field if there's no library when you have all of these citizens that live in those areas and who don't have access to it. Thank you, sir.
Okay, any further discussion on this?
Mr. Williams, I'd like to see you take that to the library committee and the library advisory board and get their input on that.
Well,
and have them report back to us.
Well, I think that I've already discussed it somewhat, and the recommendations was a mobile library. And a mobile library, you just heard, that's a year in the making, and that is not something that is going to be consistent within, it's not going to be consistent as far as having a permanent location.
Well, I agree with you.
We need a brick and mortar in that community. We don't need something that might be there for 40 minutes. Then you don't know when you're going to see it again. You don't know what location it's going to be, if you're going to be able to even access it. And, you know, it's not like it's an RV, this mobile unit. You know, if it was an RV, it probably could house a few more people. But, you know, I think that the best thing to show our citizens that this board is unified and cares about all of Wayne County is to work on something. Even if it's a satellite library, where we can do a study with a satellite library. I think that one of our commissioners mentioned, let's find a small location. Let's find a small building that maybe we could lease and just do, and that could be part of a study to see if there is a need, if people do use this facility.
But that's what I'm asking. Are we doing this study, or is the library doing the study?
Might I suggest, if I could, during our retreat in January when we schedule that we have these consultants come and make the presentation. Let's ask Donna to come, the board chair, and let's have an actual discussion at that time regards to the library and those needs.
Mr. Doherty?
Yes.
Could I also make a comment?
Yes.
You know, by serving on the previous board, we went round and around, it took us several years to make a decision on the library in Mount Olive, and at the same time we were having all the discussion on the Mount Olive Library, we were having the same amount of discussion on the needs in the northern end of the county. And I certainly can't disagree with Mr. Williams, a library in another location. I'm not disagreeing, but, the plans for the renovation of the building in Mount Olive and looking at some type of facility, whether new or finding a building that can be renovated like the one in Mount Olive, the next priority that the previous board had, and I know previous is a big word, but the next priority after Mount Olive was something in the northern end of the county. And I don't want to see us vary from that thought that the previous board had, because, all of us knows there's a lot of need out there, but when there's a need, there's always funding involved. And my opinion is that, let's concentrate on fulfilling our obligation to the northern end, and then we can always look at prospects in other areas of the county. But that's just my 2 cents worth.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I was not on the previous board, but if my memory serves me correctly, I think that the Northern Library may have been on the docket prior to the Mount Olive to be looked at. And the reason that Mount Olive was pushed first is because the old Belt building come available, which is now the Stillman Library. I don't know if I'm right or wrong on that.
Correct. And Mount Olive was instrumental in helping acquire that. Their local library board was heavily involved in it. And Mr. Parker, you can, money. And you can, Mr. Parker and Mr. Daugherty, y'all were here. I do not know what the figure was, but they had a sizable amount of money that they had already collected for that library. And that was what swayed it to the southern end, because of the funding that they had already acquired.
Also, the school system, I asked this earlier with the school board members here. The school system, all the schools have a library at each school. Is that something that the county library, or do they kind of work together on things, or how does that? And because I'm trying to utilize, our resources,
We have really good partnerships with our school librarians, and we try to work very closely with them. You might remember that we have a partnership so that every school child in Wayne County, they can use their school ID card if their parent opts into this, and that provides them access to our digital resources at the public library. Our public library staff goes and does training for teachers in our public school system to let them know about the digital resources that we have in our public library and that are available for students to use. Public school libraries and public libraries really serve a little different population, because school libraries are for the express purpose of serving school children. Public libraries are for the purpose of serving the entire community. So our missions are a little bit different, but yes, we certainly work in a collaborative spirit.
And the school system, for the most part, I know everybody doesn't have a digital device, but for the most part, and I don't know, Craig will probably speak to this, they have access to the digital devices that can access the digital library, or the portion of the library.
That's correct. We have something called the NC Kids Digital Library which our General Assembly supports, and we're very appreciative for an increase in funding they gave us this year for that. And that is what allows the public school students to access our digital books for students.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, any other comments?
Mr. Chair, if I mentioned to Donna, we will be glad to get the consultant who did the northern look to come to one of our January meetings, if that is the wish of the board.
Well, she said it was the whole county, not just the northern part.
That's correct, but he'll be speaking
Okay,
to
okay.
this. Yes.
Thank you.
One final thing I do want to say, just because I love a day when people are advocating for public libraries. It's my moment, so thank you for that. But let me just say, and I know this is not what you're describing, Commissioner Williams, is an internet cafe. And that is a method of public library service that was popular a few years back.
No, that's not what I'm describing.
A digital library.
A digital library, however, not an internet cafe.
Right. It's a different term that public libraries
I actually
use.
traveled to California, and I saw one of the first digital libraries
Yes.
that is in existence.
Yes, wonderful one in San Antonio, Texas,
Yeah, so,
too.
I mean, I don't want to get into a debate. However, if it's a library with books and digital technology, the matter of fact is that it's a need there.
Right.
It's a serious need there. If you look at some of our kids have problems reading, but if they had a library, if it probably could boost up their scores, their reading levels. So, I mean, it's just it's something necessary. I guess we won't hear the last of it. Just like you have a passion for it, I have a passion for it, and I think that overall it's going to be a good thing, regardless how it looks at this moment. It's going to be.
And I respect that. I know you and I had conversations about this, but I know they haven't necessarily heard this, so I just want to inform you, and then I promise I'm going to sit down. So our mobile library was one effort, because we know we cannot afford to put a public library in every community. So that is one effort to get into the remote areas in our community and to get both print and digital resources into the hands of the public that need them and have barriers that prevent them from getting to the library. Another thing that I am very excited about, there is a partnership between Wages and United Way of Wayne County, and very soon now, in January, I believe there'll be a dedication, I hope I'm not misspeaking, on the Stephen and Susan Parr Family Learning Center. This has been a long-time dream. The public library had the opportunity to apply for grant funding, and we received that, which allowed us to bring affordable high-speed internet to the Dudley community. On the water tower now, there is the infrastructure there. We had to have that so that we could provide the services in that early Head Start Center. It will be an early Head Start Center serving children from birth to age 3 and their parents. Our grant allowed us to fully furnish, the library fully furnished the parent learning room in that center, and our public library, and we purchased how many Chromebooks, Megan? 30 Chromebooks. And this happened because when school went online, we were speaking with the principals at different schools, and we learned that in Dudley there were not enough Chromebooks at Brogdon to go around to all the students. So we had the opportunity to apply for these grant funds so that we can get Chromebooks into the hands of students and families that need them, and the library can come in and do what it does best, and we can teach those families those technology skills so that they can learn to be advocates for their children, so that they can support them in their educational goals. And that is just a shining moment that's going to happen very soon in our community, and I'm very proud that our library is touching Dudley in that way.
I got one more thing. So the library system is working kind of hand in hand with the broadband internet.
Absolutely. And so we're constantly searching for opportunities for funding that will help us build broadband connectivity in our community. That's what public libraries do. And so grant opportunities that could potentially come down will be for that very thing, digital inclusion, to make sure that everybody has access. So our eyes are open and we're watching.
And that's a big part of the ARP funding as well, is the digital connectivity part of it. So we've asked Open Broadband to begin looking at options for that. We don't have anything yet, but they are working on options and saying what we can do. But I do want to thank Donna for that. She reached out to Chip. Chip put them in contact with Open Broadband. It was a $50,000 grant that tied in well together. And I do want to mention about, if you don't think Donna's excited about the mobile van in her office, she has already got quadrants laid out about routes that mobile unit will take, and really making sure that we can be consistent and reach everybody within the county. So
let me brag on my staff. They are doing that work. I have the quadrants on my maps because I like to create the dream, and then I have a dream team at the library. And so they each have been assigned a quadrant, and they are already mapping out where routes. We're talking to community partners to find out where we need to go so we can have the best bang for the buck.
I thought she was going to say that she's got a 3D prototype.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
And I want to commend you on your process of applying for grants, because we see budget amendments all the time. There's very few meetings that go by that we don't see a budget amendment from, I won't say every meeting, but at least once a month. We see budget amendments from the library on grant money that they've received.
Thank you.
And I mean, really, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Aycock. Megan Wilson back here, my assistant director, she and I have our eyes constantly for grant opportunities. Someone else is going to get them. Why not Wayne County?
Amen.
If you don't ask, you will not receive.
That's right.
Okay, thank you so much. Donna would have us talking all morning about the libraries. Okay, item 3 is a motion to approve a budget amendment for the purchase of the Emergency Response Mobile Command Center for the Wayne County Sheriff's Office.
Mr. Chairman.
I'd like to do one thing here before you even begin.
Excuse me.
I'd like to make this clear that this is not only for the sheriff's department, but all emergency services. Okay, because it's been labeled as for the sheriff's department, but he's the quarterback right now with this thing.
And prior to any motion, if we could get some comments from the county manager on this.
I did, and I really want to thank the sheriff and his lobbying work and working with our local delegation. This is part of a $500,000 grant to Wayne County specifically for this emergency response mobile command center. We have seen the need for it over many years. I think especially with the issue that we had at the river this past summer, that we had a team out there over a week, and we were using Johnson counties. Multiple times we have had to borrow somebody else's, but with the issues that we have and the size of Wayne County, this is really a necessity. But I do want to thank our legislative delegation, Senator Perry, Representative Smith, and Representative Bell, for making sure that this $500,000 was included in the budget that was recently approved. And with that said, I'll turn it to the sheriff.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, it's already been said almost what I was going to say. So I am here to advocate for a emergency command center for our emergency services in Wayne County. The money had to go to somebody from the state budget, and it was appropriated to the sheriff's office. But this is a mobile command center for all of Wayne County. It's basically just like the one that Johnson County has, Wilmington PD has. So basically that's what we're looking at. It's on a Freightliner chassis, 45-foot dual tandem, and it provides access for the command to be at one end and other operators to be at the other end in a separate soundproof room, whether it be dispatchers, whether it be negotiators, whether it be meeting with the family members that we had to do this past summer that had family members lost in the river, and we met with other family members at the command post. So there's a real need. We have an air base here that we bring in the Highway Patrol's command center to use every 2 years when we have the air show. So we've used it ourselves since I've been sheriff. I know at least 3 times. We had the college shooting. We had the uprising at the News Correctional Center. We had the drowning at News that took a week to recover those bodies. If there's any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer them.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner Aycock.
And as has been pointed out, and the sheriff pointed out, this vehicle is for the emergency services in Wayne County and adjacent counties, because, we borrow from them. And we got to be good neighbors. Sheriff's Department, OES, 911 Center, everybody will be involved in this vehicle having what it needs to handle not only law enforcement calls, EMS calls, fire calls. I mean, we had a call last week in Mount Olive that vehicle could have been utilized. And there's been numerous occasions that it could have been used. And yes, Johnson County has been very gracious in letting us borrow theirs, but there's nothing that says that they can't have an emergency the same time that we do. So, just make sure you work with the 911 center, and because that's going to be part of the major components in that vehicle is what, is the communication.
I have met with the fire marshal and emergency management, let them review the plans. It will be, I have dedicated or obligated my personnel to look after it. This is a situation that you don't need a vehicle just to sit there if it just sits there, it's going to deteriorate. So I have obligated my staff to help maintain that. And I have talked with the fire chief over at Southern Springs, who, until we at some point maybe have a building for this, that they're going to allow us to use a bay in their fire station to house this. That's contingent on their board meeting tonight, but they've already discussed it, and he don't anticipate any problems with that.
And
we are looking at a year out too on this vehicle.
But that's key is this is a lot of money that can't be sitting out in the weather.
Right.
And we really appreciate, Seven Springs has got probably the most modern fire station in the county now because of the flood buyout and all. And very appreciative that they're willing to help house it for probably several years until, a suitable building can be built for the vehicle. And this is a building that, the sheriff rotates his cars out, about every 3 years or
3
so?
to 4 years.
Well, but this vehicle, it won't be rotated out for, I mean, the life of a fire truck is what, Chris, 20 years?
Yeah.
And you can refurbish it for another 10?
Yep.
So this vehicle would fall in that same category.
That's correct.
This is not an expense that we're going to be, the county's going to have upon them every few years.
Mr. Chair, of course, my connection with the emergency services. We, as the fire departments, pretty much have took care of the mobile command issue for the county for years. But the way the communication system is getting now, we at Belfast have since sold our communication truck, and I understand that Marmac is kind of repurposing theirs as well. So this is a need. The sheriff has done his due diligence in acquiring, over half of the money, and like I said, we're indebted to Sheriff Bizzle for letting us use his, and if he needs anything that we have, we do the same. But it's a need for our county, and it's been in the need for probably the last 7 to 10 years. It's been talked about, and now it's come to the point. So therefore, I'd like to make the motion that we approve the budget amendment for the purchase of the Emergency Response Mobile Command Center for the Wayne County Sheriff's Office.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor. Any discussion on the motion? Not. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Okay, that was unanimous.
Thank you.
You're a good advocate.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on now to item 4, which is a motion to approve changes to the Wayne County ordinances to comply with session laws. And I suppose we are going to hear from Mr. Neal. Did he leave?
No. It's probably on Craig's desk.
Yes, on my desk.
Good morning again. So what's in front of you today, I will preface by saying over the last couple of years, the General Assembly has been making an effort in one form or fashion to decriminalize enforcement of local ordinances. About 2 or 3 years ago, all local governments, cities and counties had to provide a list to the working committee in the General Assembly of all the ordinances that we had that were criminal, and that was part of an ongoing study. That culminated in Session Law 21, 2021-138. And then on the second page of my memo, it's 108 in your packet. I provided the two applicable sections that apply to Wayne County. So there's two statutes that were changed as part of this legislation. It was 150A-23. So 150A-23, basically, old version of that, allows counties and cities to charge people with Class 3 misdemeanors. So in North Carolina, you have A1, 1, 2, and 3 misdemeanors. So this is the lowest level misdemeanor for violation of a ordinance, for a local ordinance. In addition to that, there's other sections that allow the county to go into civil court, and we can get orders to try to abate nuisances or stop any violations. So what I've provided for you, the part that's been struck out is what's changed, and then the underlined part is the new portion of the statute. So what you see now in subsection B and B1, so what the General Assembly has done is they have created 7 ordinances, types of ordinances for counties that can no longer be enforced criminally. There's planning is one, regulating and licensing of certain businesses, registration of mobile homes, house trailers, stream clearing programs, regulation of outdoor advertising, limitations on regulating solar collectors, and then limitations on rain barrels and other things like that. So what we had to do, we had to go through and identify in our ordinances which ordinances needed to be changed. So what we did is we identified 9 ordinances that are currently on our books that had to be changed, because we have criminal provisions in there that have to be taken out. And so we can only have civil penalties for those. The other statute that was changed was 14-4. So what that is, that's the actual criminal code that allows us, that's the Class 3 misdemeanor that someone is charged with. If you look on page 109, what it has done is we can no longer enforce ordinances on the ones that we can unless we specifically state that we're going to charge someone with a Class 3 pursuant to 14-4. So that's the remaining 6 ordinances that need to be changed. So we said in those, we will charge you with will be charged criminally. Well, that's not good enough under the new statute. We actually had to specifically say 14-4. I will point out to you subsection C, new subsection C of 14-4. Now, this doesn't apply to us. This would be a district attorney determination, but it actually built in certain ways that these people, if they are charged criminally, if they go to criminal court, these charges can be dismissed. So if they actually show substantial compliance with the code, or under C2, the person provides proof of a good faith effort to seek assistance to address underlying factors relating to unemployment, homelessness, mental health, substance abuse. So it has built in some things so these people aren't charged criminally for relatively minor offenses. I will preface all this by saying I've been with the county 4 years. I know of one person that we've ever charged criminally with an ordinance. We try not to go this route. We rarely try to go the route. And if I remember, I think that one person, when he got into court, the district attorney dropped those charges. We were able to work something out. I don't know that to be for sure, but I do think that was a resolution. So this is very rare for us. We hardly ever do it. If anything, we have staff that go out there, meet with the person, discuss what's the underlying conditions, what can we do to get it right? Because, I mean, you're talking about a Class 3 misdemeanor, it's going to be a criminal charge on somebody's record, and then it's a fine and court costs. It's really not necessary. We just want compliance. So starting on page 10, there's the 9 ordinances that are currently on the books where the criminal language has been removed. That's our proposal. And what we have proposed is basically a civil penalty of $100 for any violation. And then in addition to that, it gives us the ability under current 153A-123 that we could go to court if we determine that that's necessary to stop an abatement or anything of that nature. So the ordinances on 110 through 115, those 9, We were proposing action on those today, so we can be in compliance with general statutes, and that would remove the criminal component to those ordinances. The remaining 6 that start on 116 and go through 118, those are ones that we actually had to specifically identify, 14-4 for criminal enforcement. Pursuant to the new law, a board cannot adopt a criminal component to an ordinance at its first meeting. So for those 6, in order for us to keep that criminal component, what we need to do is introduce those today, and then those 6 will be rolled over to your December 21st meeting, where you could take action on those if that's what you wanted to do. So all that's recommended today is that we go ahead and move forward on the 9 and remove those criminal components.
I did have a question on 113 in regards to business signs, outdoor advertising signs.
What page is that on?
That's on 113. And on that one, there is no provision in there of any fine or anything?
Let me double check.
Here it says proposed language, delete subject.
So that particular ordinance, that has various subsections. I believe it's A, B, and C. B and C have a civil component that allow us to find.
Okay.
So all that's being deleted is A, because A just needs to go.
So there are still some.
There's still,
Okay.
there's a civil penalty in there and other procedures. So the only change in that one, we just need to delete the criminal penalty that exists.
Okay.
And that was one of the types of ordinances that can no longer be enforced criminally.
Any questions of Mr. Neal?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the changes to the Wayne County ordinance to comply with Section Law 2021-138, new general stats 153A-123, and general stats 14-4, as recommended by attorney.
All right, you've heard the motion. Is there any discussion? Being none, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That was unanimous.
And those remaining 6, Mr. Chairman, those will be rolled over to your December 21st, and then we can adopt those at that time.
You got more to come.
Thank you.
All right, we've had our public comment time. County managers report.
Just one quick reminder that our countywide Christmas luncheon is scheduled for Thursday, December 9th, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. At the Maxwell Center. So please invite you. I want to thank Ginger and our employee committee. They've done a wonderful job planning, and the Maxwell Center staff. So please come. The staff would love to see you. And that's all I have.
That's all you have?
Yeah.
Is that a floating? Is that starts at 11 or?
Right, it starts at 11. It is a floating. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Keep in mind, you have some new commissioners that hadn't been down this road before, so keep them informed.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Foster.
No comment.
Commissioner Aycock. That's Barbara Aycock.
Thank you. Enjoyed the Christmas parades this weekend. I enjoyed the smiling faces of the children. I mean, it was just a wonderful event, and the camaraderie we had with the other commissioners and everything. I really enjoyed that. Goldsboro, Fremont, Pikeville, done a great job. I want to thank them for putting on all the hard work they did, and also for Mr. Stewart. He was recognized in Fremont. I thought that was absolutely wonderful that he was recognized as Grand Marshal. He was a big part of Fremont, and he is truly missed. And I think Fremont done an excellent job in his recognition as Grand Marshal, and I want to thank Fremont for that.
Okay. Commissioner Hardison.
I would like to echo Commissioner Aycock's comments on the Christmas parades. Had a great time, fellowship with the other commissioners. And I also like to congratulate Mr. West, being elected school board chair again. And to the school board, thank you for endorsing the resolution for Rosewood Mill. Appreciate it.
Great.
Commissioner Aycock.
Just, the parades has already been mentioned, we had a busy weekend, 3 on Saturday and 1 on Sunday. Mount Olive Parade was great. I think most all of them changed their routes this year, so they kind of threw us in a loop, but we made it through. Thank the town of Mount Olive for their efforts now. Fremont, the same. It's when you participate in a parade, you really don't get to see it. But you could. All of them had fine parades. Goldsboro, fantastic parade. As many of y'all know, I had the honor of driving the Grand Marshal for the Goldsboro Parade. Our mayor of Nahana, he's a special needs. And I especially want to thank Laura Landers for making that happen, because I say that young man, he's younger than I am, but he is getting on up in age. But anytime you can help someone that needs help in caring for themselves, it touches a spot in my heart. And by her making the effort to make him Grand Marshal, because usually the base commander does it, but he couldn't do it this year. But that's a memory that gentleman will have for the rest of his life. And when we were the number 2 spot in the parade, and when we got up on North Center Street to turn on Ash, I said, Bruce, we've had a busy day. I'm tired. He said, I am too. I said, well, you ready to go home? He said, I would really like to look at the parade. So we pulled over off the edge of Ash Street, and we got out, and we stood there for an hour and a half, and we watched the parade. But that's what it's all about, helping someone else. And like, again, I want to thank Laura Landers again for making that happen, because initially she had asked me to do it, and I told her that, he usually rode with me. And I got bumped from Grand Marshal to driver over in just a matter of a few minutes. But that's what it's all about. Powerful parade. We had a good parade. And the fellowship that the commissioners had. We didn't have our commissioner hat on that day. We were enjoying the parade just like everybody else. And I really appreciate everyone that participated. Thank you.
Mr. Gurley. Well, Bruce might be a little getting up in age, but he still got the moves, because he was getting it done at Mount Olive. I enjoyed it. There again, I probably acted like a big youngin' like I usually do, but I had a ball. I got carpal tunnel from throwing candy, but other than that, but no, I did. We had a good time. We got the music fixed, by the way.
You did.
Yeah. But now Eureka's is Sunday at 3:00, I think it is. So we got one more to go. And I wish everybody a Merry Christmas. We're coming back for another one, just in case I don't see you. Hope y'all have a Merry Christmas. I appreciate John doing the prayer this morning. He's a good friend, and when it comes to Christmas, I want somebody that can get to the Lord a little bit easier than I can, and he does it for a living, and he's a good person. Chris and I have been friends for 35 years. Chris West, he's the chairman again, but I'm going to tell him thank you, because on every commissioner meeting Tuesday morning, he picks my girls up and takes them to school for me. And Michelle didn't know that until last night. So I appreciate you doing that. One last thing, I'll get to the serious part. We are we're working tirelessly to bring more jobs to Wayne County. Our economic development division and our regional approach at that. But that being said, we've got a major issue in Wayne County, and not just in Wayne County, it's other counties as well. We got a sewer issue, and John Carr's big saying back in the day is, if you can't flush, you can't dance. Well, everybody didn't really get to what he meant by that. If we don't have a working, viable sewer system, we can quit attracting or trying to attract new businesses, and that's a dire need that we have in Wayne County. So that's a number one priority. As long as I sit here, is to make Wayne County and as a regional approach, and I think that's about the only way that we'll be able to afford it and to get it pushed is to get a regional type sewer system in our area. We're looking at some stuff with now that the budget's passed. Speaking with Representative Bell and Senator Perry last week. We are some of the flood mitigation. I spoke with Chip about this as well. Some of the flood mitigation stuff that we've got in place, we're going to try to work on some things. There's some. We went to a meeting. I don't know. It's been probably 6-8 months ago over at the planning department. We're hoping that we're going to look at some projects that's going to benefit us, maybe to try to slow down some of the flooding issues. Of course, it's out of our hands pretty much. I mean, we just pretty much take direction from the Corps. But Wayne County is home, and we want to do what we can to make our children want to stick around, and jobs, and is what's going to keep them here, and the sewer system and water system is what's going to keep the jobs here. So I'll be quiet. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and congratulations to Mr. Daugherty and Mr. Aycock.
Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. I also enjoyed the parades. Very exhausting going from Mount Olive, my district. We had the opportunity to throw out candy, which in Goldsboro at the parades, we never had a chance since I was a elected official in Goldsboro to throw any candy out. And the kids seemed to enjoy it. I had some conservative colleagues that didn't want to share their candy. I kind of threw my candy out a whole lot faster than them. And Miss Barbara didn't want to share her candy with me. She wanted to give me 1 and 2 at a time. However, I enjoyed it tremendously. We got a chance to see Mount Olive and how important Mount Olive is to this county. When you look around, you see the people, you see the homes, you see the needs there. But for that one day, it was a lot of smiles. Also, I had the opportunity to go to the Fremont parade and also Pikeville, and you saw a lot of smiles, and I saw needs there as well. But I just want to keep everybody in mind. Don't forget about Mount Olive, like you stated with the sewage issues that we have. Mount Olive, I'm going to keep bringing it along until someone comes to me and says, we got a check for them. They have to get the sewage taken care of there. Also, I'm going to keep bringing it along when it comes to libraries in the Dudley, Marmac area. It's vital. If you want our kids' education to improve, they need resources. And you have to remember, Wayne County, Dudley is part of the cog of Wayne County. So everybody is vital. Everybody's important. When I got on this board, we talked about unity. We talked about all of Wayne County was valuable. So I like to see those things reflecting and showing that we can do more in those particular areas than we've done ever before. Because you're looking at decades of nothing being done in those particular parts of the county. And that's all I have today. And I appreciate you listening to me, and I appreciate even more if we can get some resources over in those areas. Thank you.
Okay.
Congratulations, sir.
Oh, thank you. I got up this morning and turned the TV on to see that today is the 80th anniversary of Pearl Harbor. Think of that. I turned around and I said, well, before my time, but just a few years. But we need to remember that. We need to remember the sacrifice of those folks that were there for us and protect our nation. 80 years. And I totally agree. As I go to these Christmas parades, I enjoy it so much every year. And if you were just riding in the sleigh and seeing the smiles on not only the kids, but the grown-ups, just to have chasing a little bit of candy, I mean, it's just amazing. So with that in mind, I'm hoping this board will pass a resolution and asking the Goldsboro City Council to allow the children at the Christmas parade in Goldsboro to participate, because it's really rewarding, and I think we need to ask the City Council to reconsider and institute the ability for those participating in the parade to actually throw a little candy out. Thank you so much for your confidence, and I look forward to a year from now when I can state like our former chairman just stated. I look forward to that day. With that said, is there any more business to come before our board? And if not, we are adjourned.